We need to have a talk, right? So, of course, everything, that is going on in the market right now is absolutely insane. I had a live stream earlier today in which I went live. I probably had about 100 people in there at a time. And one thing that commonly kept being brought up, Tyler, what is going on? Are you in GME? Are you in Gamestop? Are you in AMC? Are you going to be getting in? What's going on with GameStop? And, it made me come to the realization that as I am building this platform and as I am building this overall brand and name for myself on YouTube, that I have to understand that a lot of you guys are looking forward to me posting my opinion on things. And you are looking for my opinion whenever it comes to situation and events like we're seeing right now. And it made me come to the realization that us as YouTubers, we have power in the sense that we can not only just influence people to maybe do or do not do things, but, we can also encourage people to want to do certain things, right? And so one thing that I wanted to do as a YouTuber and someone who is starting to put out content and starting to provide myself a platform to give my opinion on certain, situations is to make sure that I'm keeping you all as up to date as possible on situations like this, as I am strongly opinionated whenever it comes to certain things like this. But I have to remember that it's not just about me anymore. This is an overall community that we are building, and I have to make sure that I keep you all as up to date as possible. So with that being said, I'm not going to, be plugging my Patreon. I'm not going to be doing any of that. None of the normal. We are going to get straight into this talk. So what this video is not going to be is this video is not going to be going into super depth about how this whole thing transpired with GameStop. I'm not really going to be trying to break all of this down specifically. Rather, I'm trying to get my opinion across on what I think should be done with this situation, what my advice to any of my people who look for my opinion is going to be, what I've said to people in the Patreon, and what I believe is the best move for anyone who is considering trying to jump in on this. So in a brief, very, very brief breakdown, this is very broad, so there is a lot more that goes into it, breakdown of what happened with GameStop. Well, realistically, whenever we think about it, this whole entire thing has just been chaos from the beginning. Now, GameStop did get a lot of good traction over the last year. Last year, they did have some great agreements. They had some increase in shareholders. They had a whole bunch of new, online sales. It was honestly doing pretty well for them. Now, realistically, their stock price did not reflect that much growth, as they did grow a little bit, but it honestly wasn't substantial whatsoever. Well, there was one person on Wall Street Bets that we do know now as DSV, and what basically happened is he noticed that the short volume ratio was absolutely ridiculous. The amount of shorters who were expecting this thing to go down and had short positions on this company was through the roof, and there was actually more short volume than there were actual stocks offered for GameStop. So what that made him realize is that if they were able to somehow start to push this up, if they were able to start buying these different contracts, buying, these 100 contracts at a time, that these brokerages would have to actually start buying these shares, and in a broad sense, this was going to start to push the overall stock price up, and as the stock price does increase, of course, these shorters are going to have to cover their positions. And as that does start to happen, we start to see this thing really just boom, 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 boom. And it just keeps going on and on and on. Now, I'm going to just leave it at that. I'm not really trying to break this thing down into super detail about what exactly happened. If you do want a full breakdown, I'm going to link Graham Stephan's video on this whole situation. He explains it very well in beginner terms, so I would definitely check that out. But the reason I don't want to necessarily talk too much more about how this all happens and the actual science behind why this happened is because I don't want to preach what I don't practice. This is not something that I have taken a part of. I really don't plan on being a part of it, simply for the fact that I have a certain criteria for investing and I stick to my criteria. So that leads me into the first thing that I have to say about this overall situation. Whenever we all started investing, whenever the majority of us who have actually had a decent amount of success in investing and started to really figure out what their path as an investor was going to be, came in with a game plan. Now, I stress this so much, especially to the people on my Patreon, the people in my comments, the people who email me and message me on Instagram, the ones who say, I'm a new investor, I just started investing and I don't know where to go. The very first thing that I tell them is you need to learn, you need to educate yourself, and you need to set a game plan. Because the only way that you're going to counter your emotions are by sticking to a certain set of criteria and sticking to a certain strategy. Because if you don't have a strategy, if you don't have something to fall back on, if you don't have some type of, criteria or outline, or maybe some type of agenda, if you don't have that, your brain is going to be so far over the place that you're not going to be able to make rational and calculated decisions based on what you want to do with certain companies if they go really high up or really far down. And so what I say that is, when this whole situation for me personally, I made a certain strategy. I made a certain criteria. I do not invest into certain companies if they don't meet my criteria. Well, this company, I could go on and on and on about why some of these GME or AMC, why they don't really meet my criteria whatsoever. And so I don't plan on investing into this company. Before this whole situation started, had you asked me if I was investing into GameStop, I would have said no. I would have said I'm not. They don't meet my criteria. So why is it that in the short term that we see this stock price really just shoot up due to all of this insane short squeeze that we're seeing? Well, why in that sense, why would I get in? Because at the end of the day, I'm not a short-term investor. I'm a long-term investor. I'm not going in on this thing because realistically, I don't have extra excess cash that I want to just play around with right now. So the first point basically is just this. If you're going to invest into this company, make sure that you invest into them for the right reasons, right? If you don't, what's going to happen is if you invest into this company off of emotions, the fear of missing out is one of the biggest, phrases that is ever said in the stock market on this whole platform, basically. FOMO, we all know it. Now, the reason that I say this is that if you invest into a company, if you purchase a certain holding into a company based off of emotions, you will exit that trade based off of emotions. I almost guarantee it every time. If you go into there with the fear of missing out, if that thing drops, you are going to exit with the fear of losing more. That's something that I say all the time. FOLM, the fear of losing more. If we do look at GameStop's overall charting, we can see that this thing is drastic. And this is what I mean with the fear of losing more. Because say if you invested into this company, you knew nothing about GameStop realistically, you knew none of their fundamentals, you didn't know what the charts were all about, you didn't have any real reason to get in other than the fact that you saw other people making money. Whenever this company drops 31%, whenever this company in the span of 5 days has a drop of 21%, 18%, 11%, and 42%, what do you realistically think that you're going to do? My guess is you'll probably get out. Realistically, if you went into a company with no faith in the company long term, you had no real reason to get in but you saw other people making money. When you don't make money, you're going to say, I don't want to lose any more of my money. I just got in because everybody else was making money. Well, everyone's losing money now, so I'm going to just get out. And then that's where we see a lot of loss. And that's what I want all of the people who support my channel, all of the people who interact with me daily. That is the mistake that I don't want to see you all make, as that could be very, very detrimental, as I've seen many people putting loads of money into this company off of emotion, and I know they will exit off of emotion. So what does that do? That brings me over into my second point. This is basically a war between the retail investor and the institutional investor. We have already seen that this thing has started to struggle. There are certain little things that we have noticed that show that this is not going to last forever. Now, if you believe that this is going to last longer, people on WSB are talking, oh, this thing's going to 1,000, 2,000, whatever. If you genuinely believe that it could, my personal suggestion, and I never give personal suggestions on this channel, ever. Again, this is not financial advice, but this is a true personal suggestion. Do not invest any money into this company that you are not okay with losing. And I am staring directly into the camera. If you are not okay with losing a certain amount of money, do not put it into these stocks. Because just as fast as this started, this could end. We have seen certain things like Wall Street Bets going private for a little while. I think they're back up. I'm not 100% sure. But certain situations like that show that there's going to be situations that come up that can shut this down. And off of that small news that WSB started to go down, we saw it drop 30%. Realistically, this company's fundamentals and based off of what it actually has going for it in the long term is a company that is not worth $347 per share. It is extremely overvalued, and I think any fundamentalist who invests into the stock market will agree this thing is overvalued. So what does that mean? What should you do? Well, it all depends. Do you believe that it can continue to go up? Do you have some excess cash? Hey, I don't blame you. If you have an extra $50, $100 per se, and you're like, I do not care if I lose this at all. I make a good living. I have some extra cash. I made some extra profits. I went up 1,000% on a stock today. I'm going to just throw it in there and see what happens. I want to be a part of this insane war that we are seeing between the retail investor and the institutional investor. Then I can't fault you. Because there is potential short-term profit to be made. I will not disagree with that. I think that coming up into the future here, people will continue to make money and people will continue to lose money. It is all about emotions. And so I think that in the sense that if you do have some extra cash, you couldn't really care less if you were going to lose it. And you want to just say, YOLO, let's just see what happens. And you just throw it in there. I can't blame you. I wouldn't be mad at you. What I don't want to see and what would upset me to know is that people who had their hard-earned money, that they worked 10 hours in a shift, at some store and barely paying their rent, barely paying their bills, saying, oh, I can make it out. You know, I can make so much money as these people have on GameStop that I'm going to put my entire savings into this and it's going to make me money because everyone else is. Well, what do you think is going to happen whenever that person puts their whole next month of rent into this and it drops 30%? Do you think they'll stay in? I don't. I couldn't imagine that they would. And so that's the reason why I say if you have excess cash and you want to go in, go in. I don't blame you. I'm not gonna fault you. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a guy talking to a camera. But if you do believe that this company is solely moving off of hype, it will come down like I do. I personally believe it's going to come down. I don't see the point in the risk. I don't see the point in the risk. Now, if you had gotten into this thing earlier, maybe so. Maybe the risk versus reward was there. But I would say now that Wall Street Bets has already had gone private, that certain bans are happening and all of this stuff, that right now it's almost to the point that this thing is a 50-50 no matter what you try to do. So it's all on you. That's my entire take on this whole situation. I didn't want to stay too long. I didn't want to talk about this too long. And I didn't want to show this too much attention because this is not the focus of my channel. And I do not like to preach what I don't practice. I'm not investing in a GameStop, nor am I investing in the AMC. I'm not putting my money into these ones that are simply getting pushed up due to hype, that don't have some type of strong fundamentals behind them. I really don't see it. Now, GameStop, again, it does have some good progress, but I think the industry in which they're targeting right now, their future outlook is not with growth. Right? And so with that being said, I really just don't see it. I'm not going to invest in this company because I wouldn't last week. So with that being said, definitely let me know your thoughts behind this whole situation. I know some of you will not like this video, and I understand that. Some people will have differing opinions, and I'm totally okay with that. Let me know what your opinion is on this whole situation down in the comment section below. If you did find value out of this video, you could definitely let me know by subscribing to the channel and smashing the like button. I would really appreciate it. With that being said, we will get back to the normal videos, the penny stocks. And look, penny stocks are just as risky, and that's why I say in every single video, be careful with penny stocks too, because I talk about penny stocks all the time, but they are equally as risky as this whole situation is. But we'll get back to stocks where I can talk about the fundamentals, as I never tell someone that I'm buying a stock until I go through their whole fundamentals and give reasoning as to why. So we will get back to that soon here on the channel. The next video will not be about any of this, as I'm done. I didn't want to talk about this much more. So here we are. There's my opinion, and I hope you guys do understand where I'm coming from. With that being said, I do post on this channel 2 to 3 times every single day, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.